Guys, welcome back to Wok Wednesday. My name's Jeremy from School of Wok, if you don't know me already. And this week we are doing a nice, slow, wok-less Wednesday. We're doing a Taiwanese beef noodle soup. Don't forget to subscribe and like and do all those cool things. We're going to start with the beef itself. Now, traditionally, this dish would be cooked with a beef shank with the ball or the bone and the ball in it. I've gone to my butcher's, they didn't have any beef shank, so I've got a shin of beef with a chunk of bone. I'm going to pop the bone straight into the saucepan, ready for some hot water blanching. But I'm going to cut this beef into good sized dices. There are loads of recipes for this where you use an instant pot, but not everyone has an instant pot, so I'm going to go for the more traditional way, and that is just slow cooking it. Any sort of braising steak works well with this dish. Just nice large chunks of beef. So my beef is going straight into the pot. And as I say, it's a classic Chinese way of almost like cleaning your meat before you then cook it and slow cook it later on, and is to blanch your meat first. So I'm going to get that onto a boil, and once it's on a boil, let it bubble away for a good 2 to 3 minutes. And that bone in there is going to add more flavour to this stock as it boils away. So as you can see, there's loads of scum come off this, and that is because of the bone in there. So I'm going to pop that through a sieve and then rinse it in cold water under the sink. Next up, we're going to start to make base flavour of your soup. Good bit of oil in the bottom of the pan. We're going to start off with our chunks of onion, ginger and spring onion. Get the garlic cloves in there as well. Leave the tomato and the chilli for now. You don't want the chilli to burn. Just start to brown off these base ingredients first. You see when the ginger pieces are starting to get a nice sort of brown around the edges. That's a good time to start to add your tomatoes and your chilies. And the soup will come out more red because I'm going to add some seasoning to it as well, and that's my tomato paste, some doubanjiang, which is basically chili bean sauce, and then the rest of the seasoning from some rice wine, a good amount of rice wine, and a fair amount of light soy sauce as well for saltiness. That's all going to go into this before I add the water, or the beef, and then the water to top it up. And then the last thing that will go in is my spices. Whilst that's cooking away, I'll explain these. And this is a very, very clear packet that a lot of the time is called spices for spicy food. And so on this mix here, there's Sichuan pepper, fennel seeds, star anise, ginger, cassia bark, cinnamon, Saoko, which is that there. And in that bag as well, they give you a little muslin cloth so you can put your spices into the muslin cloth. So my muslin bag here, I can just tie up and whack that into the soup once it's ready. This is browning nicely now, so I'm going to get my paste in. That's my tomato paste. A couple of tablespoons of doubanjiang, the chili bean sauce. And then to lift all the flavour, we'll use the rice wine and the light soy. But before that, I'm going to mix my beef back in, along with the bone. And this sort of minute or so is just to get that doubanjiang wrapped around the beef pieces before I lift all the sort of caramelised flavour off the bottom of the pan. Rice wine. A good similar amount of light soy over the top of that as well. We can always add more later on to re-season. I quite like to scrape any of that flavour off the bottom of the pan now, so that when I top this up in my water, it'll take in as much flavour as possible. So I'm going to top this with hot water. So I'm going to pop these spices in. Nice thing about having a bag like this is that you can taste this as you go, maybe after an hour or so. And if you feel like your soup has got enough base of spice to it, you can just take the bag out, nice and easy. So you choose how much spice you want. The idea of this, with all of those quite strong flavors, strong spices in there, is that with this beef, especially with the bone in there and everything like that, it's quite deep flavors. So we're trying to get sort of bitter, sweet flavor into this soup or this stock with that slow boil on with those spices. Pop it down on a low heat, let it simmer away 3 to 4 hours. The rest is easy. I'm just gonna quarter this pak choi for later so I don't have to think about it. Give that a wash. I've got my udon noodles, as I say, that's to replace the normal sort of long wheat noodles. And then my ginger and spring onion, I'm gonna heat up some oil to a nice hot smoking point now. Pinch of salt. Smoking hot oil straight over the top of that. I've got the spicy mustard stem here. So it's just preserved with salt and a bit of chili and oil. And that will just go over the top of the noodles as well. My beef soup has been bubbling away for actually about 4 or 5 hours now. I took the spice bag out after about 2 hours because I tasted it and felt that there was enough of that strong spice. So I'm going to dunk my noodles in. These noodles are udon noodles, but the classic ones, you want to find those thinner wheat noodles. But these work a treat too. Just let that bubble up on a medium heat, separate out for about 1 minute to 2 minutes. Once your noodles have lost their packet shape and separated out nicely and have that sort of more tender feel to them, you can serve those out. Then your veg, so some quartered pak choi, again only needs really about 1 minute. You know, that hot soup will keep cooking things through as you serve up as well. I like to keep my pak choi nice and crunchy, so that's going to come straight out. And the rest is easy. We want to get some of that amazingly soft beef. I don't mind some of the onions going in there too, why not? Pour a whole load of that soup over the top of the beef and the noodles. And then I've got my ginger oil, which you just put wherever you want really. That will add another level of flavour and texture, along with your pickled mustard greens. Slow cooked, without an Instant Pot, Taiwanese beef noodle soup. Try some of that beef, which should be really succulent now. So meaty, but the flavours of that soup just absolutely make it. Whoever was in Taiwan, thank you very much. That is amazing. Love this dish. Well worth the effort and all those ingredients. Guys, don't forget, if you like the channel, want to learn more, all types of Asian cuisine, don't forget to subscribe and like and hit ding that notification bell. There are so many different types of noodle soup in the world. Which one's your favorite? Let us know in the comments below.